ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्राजकाचार्य अष्टोत्तर श्रीमद His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai. ISKCON founder Acharya, BBT founder Acharya, savior of the whole world Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Jai Om Vishnupada Paramhamsa Parivrajaka Ashtottar Shri Srimad His Divine Grace Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Goswami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnav Vrinda ki jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur ki jai. Prem se kho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shyam Kunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhan ki jai. Brajabhumi Vrindavan Dham ki jai. Navadvip Mayapur Dham ki jai. Purushottam Kshetra Jagannath Puri Dham ki jai. Shri Dwarka Puri Dham ki jai. Ganga Maiya Yamuna Maiya ki jai. Bhakti Devi Tulsi Maharani ki jai. Samaveda Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Patita Pavan Harinam Sankirtan ki jai. Srila Prabhupada Transcendental Book Distribution ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Nitai Gaur Premanande. All glories to assembled devotees. All glories to assembled devotees. All glories to assembled devotees. All glories, all glories, all glories to Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiraye Nashtaprayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Ruttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naistike Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanaya Cha Nanda Gopa Kumaraya Govindaya Namo Namaha. Okay. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 2, Chapter 6, Text 12. Dharmasya mamatubhyam cha kumaranam bhavasya cha vijnanasya cha sattvasya parasyatma parayanam. Dharmasya mamatubhyam cha kumaranam bhavasya cha vijnanasya cha sattvasya parasyatma parayanam. Dharmasya mamatubhyam cha kumaranam bhavasya cha vijnanasya cha sattvasya parasyatma parayanam. Dharmasya mamatubhyam cha kumaranam bhavasya cha vijnanasya cha sattvasya parasyatma parayanam. Dharmasya mamatubhyam cha kumaranam bhavasya cha vijnanasya cha sattvasya parasyatma parayanam. धर्मस्य मम तुभ्यं च कुमाराणां भवस्य च विज्ञानस्य च सत्त्वस्य परस्यात्मा परायणम् धर्मस्य मम तुभ्यं च कुमाराणां भवस्य च विज्ञानस्य च सत्त्वस्य परस्यात्मा परायणम् धर्मस्य मम तुभ्यं च कुमाराणां भवस्य च विज्ञानस्य च सत्त्वस्य परस्यात्मा परायणम् माताजी धर्मस्य मम तुभ्यं च कुमाराणां भवस्य च विज्ञानस्य च सत्त्वस्य परस्यात्मा परायणम् धर्मस्य मम तुभ्यं च कुमाराणां भवस्य च विज्ञानस्य च सत्त्वस्य परस्यात्मा परायणम्. Okay. So this verse doesn't have purport, so we'll read translation, and next verse I'll just read, will not do follow-up. So translation by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada. Hare Krishna. Yeah. So dharmasya of religious principles or of Yamaraj. Mama, mine. Tubhyam, of yours. Cha, and. Kumaranam, of the four Kumaras. Bhavasya, Lord Shiva. Cha, and also. Vijnanasya, of transcendental knowledge. Cha, also. Sattvasya, of truth. Parasya, of the great personality. Atma, consciousness. Parayanam, dependent. Translation by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Translation. Also, the consciousness of that great personality is the abode of religious principles, mine, yours, and those of the four bachelor Sanak, Sanatan, Sanat Kumar, and Sanandan. That consciousness is also the abode of truth and transcendental knowledge. Text 13 to 16. Aham bhavan bhavashchaiva ta ime manuyograjaha sura suranara nagaha khagam mrugasari strupaha gandharvapsaratso yaksha raksho bhutagano ragaha pashavah pitaras siddha vidyadhrashcharanadrumaha अन्ये च विविधा जीवा जलस्थलनभौकसः गृहक्षत्के तवस्तारास्तडीतः स्तनयित्वः सर्वं पुरुष एवेदं भूतं भव्यं भवश्च यत् तेनेतमावृतं विश्वं वितस्तिमाधितिष्ठति. Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Translation. Beginning from me, Brahma, down to you and Bhava, that is Shiva, all the great sages who were born before you, the demigods, the demons, the nagas, the human beings, The birds, the beasts, as well as the reptiles, etc., are all phenomenal manifestations of the universes, namely the planets, stars, asteroids, luminaries, lightning, thunder, and the inhabitants of the different planetary systems, namely the Gandharvas, Apsaras, Yakshas, Rakshasas, Bhutaganas, Ugaras, Pashus, Pitas, Siddhas, Vidyadharas, Charanas, and all other different varieties of living entities, including the birds, beasts, trees, and everything that be, are all covered by the universal form of the Lord at all times, namely past, present, and future, although He is transcendental to all of them, eternally existing in the form not exceeding 9 inches. Purport: the Supreme Personality of Godhead, by His partial representation, meaning measuring not more than 9 inches as supersoul, expands by His potential energy in the shape of the universal form, which includes everything manifested in different varieties of organic and inorganic materials. The manifested varieties of the universe are therefore non different from the Lord, just as golden ornaments of different shapes and forms are non different from the original stock reserve of gold. In other words, the Lord is the supreme person who controls everything within the creation, and still He remains the supreme separate identity, distinct from all manifested material creation. In Bhagavad Gita, chapter 9, 4, verses 4 5, He is therefore said to be Yogeshwara. Everything rests on the potency of the Lord Sri Krishna, and still the Lord is different from and transcendental to all such identities. In the Vedic Purusha Sukta of the Rig Mantra, this is also confirmed. This philosophical truth of simultaneous oneness and difference was propounded by Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and it is known as Achintya Bheda Bheda Tattva. Brahma, Narada, and all others are simultaneously one with the Lord and different from the Supreme Lord. We are all one with Him, just as the gold ornaments are one in quality with the stock of gold, but the individual gold ornament is never equal in the quantity with the stock gold. The stock gold is never exhausted, even if there are innumerable ornaments emanating from the stock, because the stock is Purnam, complete. Even if Purnam is deducted from the Purnam, still the Supreme Purnam remains the same Purnam. This fact is inconceivable to our present imperfect senses. The Lord Chaitanya, therefore, defined his theory of philosophy as achintya, inconceivable, and as confirmed in Bhagavad Gita as well as in the Bhagavatam. Lord Chaitanya's theory of achintya bheda bhed tattva is the perfect philosophy of the absolute truth. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Sri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupah Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatan Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadhvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan सहगण ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च नमां विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिनिति नामिने। नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषा शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद। हे कृष्ण करुणा सिंधो दीनबंधो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमोस्तुते। तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। मूखं करोति वाचालं पंगुं लंघायते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे श्रीगुरुदीनतारिणं परमानन्दमाधवं श्रीचैतन्येश्वरम्। हरे कृष्ण. So I seek blessings of all devotees so that I can speak something glorifying Lord for all of your pleasure and for my purification. So in this chapter till now, Brahmaji is explaining the universal form and what all things it constitutes. And now in this verse and last he is mentioning, the 12th verse is mentioning that the consciousness of that Lord is the great personality who is abode of religious principle. That's like Brahma, 4 Kumaras and Narad Muni. And that consciousness is also the abode of truth and transcendental knowledge. And in these verses, text 13 to 16, he is mentioning about all the Chanaraj, Vidyadharaj and everybody, different living entities, and it says that this covers his transcendental are all covered by the universal form of the Lord at all times. So all these descriptions of all the different living entities, Brahmaji is mentioning that is covered by the universal form, but he says is transcendental. So here we'll see 3 things today, that how Achintya Bheda Tattva Lord Chaitanya has formed, and then we'll see we had discussed this in great detail long back. We'll just repeat what is Abheda, what is Bheda, and then we'll focus on why it is called as Achintya, inconceivable. And then we'll discuss, after understanding this, what should be our practical approach towards it. So the Mayavadis, they say that everything is one. About absolute truth, they say that everything is one. Aham Brahmasmi. So they focus on the quality aspect, that yes, we are one in quality with the Supreme Lord. Lord is Satchidananda, and being his part and parcel, we are also Satchidananda. So therefore they say we are non-different from Lord. But it is just a half vision. So they just focus on Abheda. So of course Shankaracharya had propagated this philosophy because he had to stop Buddhism. There was the Vedic scriptures were misunderstood and misused by people for animal killing, and therefore Lord has to take incarnation as Buddha, and he says that don't follow Vedic texts. And then since he was Lord, he could influence everybody, and then everybody stopped following Vedic scriptures, and that's how the animal killing, unnecessary animal killing, it was stopped. But Vedas are like manuals for humans. So they need to be followed. So then Lord devised a plan. He sent Lord Shiva as his partial incarnation as Shankaracharya, and he said, follow Vedas, but we all are God. So that was his philosophy, Mayavad. So everything is one. And then again to correct that, Madhvacharya, Ramanujacharya, they came and they said, no, Bheda. Lord is one and we are, different. There's always they had this position of we, it's two. Jiva and Lord, they are separate. So they focused on Abheda. Lord is Vibhu, we are Anu. So the problem with only focusing on Abheda Tattva, that we are equal to Lord in quality, the problem is that there is no room for a relationship. Because if everything is one, with whom should we relate? So that is the downside of just focusing on Abheda Tattva. Similarly, the problem with just focusing on Bheda Tattva, that we are different from God, is that there is a permanent barrier created between us and Krishna for any intimate relationships. There can be only one relationship. We focus on Abheda. Like if we focus, yes, Lord is Vibhu, we are Anu. Lord is Master, we are servant. Then there is only servitudeship. One can have rasa only in that particular relationship as a servant. But there is no scope for Sakhya, Das, Sakhyaras, Vatsalyaras or Madhuryaras. So that is the downside of focusing only Bheda. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, very amazingly, he reconciled both of this and he added one word, inconceivable, achintya. So what is meant by achintya? Achintya means that which we cannot understand with our intelligence. There are many things in this, our day-to-day life, which we cannot understand, ourselves. Because we have imperfect senses. All of us, Prabhupada mentions this, we have 4 defects. Tendency to cheat, tendency to commit mistake, tendency to get illusion, and we have imperfect senses. So these imperfect senses keeps us from understanding even the things within our realm. How prasadam gets digested, we don't know, but it gets digested, we get strength, right? So it's kind of inconceivable, right? How the blood is formed. Of course, scientists may say that we have found this enzyme gets secret, this, that, but that's all still too inconceivable for us, right? So with our intelligence and with all the philosophical speculation, there is no way we can understand Krishna completely. Why Krishna has kept like that? Because if with our philosophical speculation we were to understand Krishna, then we will think that we have conquered Krishna. We have become better than God. Right? Because I can understand him. I know, what Krishna is going to do next with my, speculation or mystic siddhis or, whatever. So that's not possible. So therefore, Lord, many, even some, descriptions in Bhagavatam, they are really inconceivable. Canto 5th, how gold is formed. There are big mangoes and they fall. And then there is a river of mango juice. And that the juice gets stuck to the shores and gold is formed, right? Those such descriptions about creation, they are really inconceivable. Why? 2 purposes. First, to make us humble, to make us understand that we cannot conquer Krishna by our intelligence or philosophical speculation. And second, to test our faith. If we don't have faith on this, we cannot go to 10th canto, to Krishna's, intimate pastimes. So unless one has unadulterated faith on, Guru, Sadhu and Shastra, it's very difficult to know about absolute truth. In this verse, the first verse, in this verse, towards and Prabhupada, is telling, it's eternally existing in the form not exceeding 9 inches. So that's the description of Paramatma actually, So Jadurani Mataji, she had asked Prabhupada, she was painting Paramatma's picture. Whether Prabhupada, whether Paramatma is standing or sitting or what, it's how to paint. Prabhupada said, for that you have to meditate thousands of years. And Jadurani Mataji was shocked. And then Prabhupada said, but actually he is standing, you can paint that way. So Prabhupada, being pure devotee, he could realize, what is the position of Paramatma, whether he is standing and sitting, and he immediately told. So same way, it is said, we sing every day Damodar Ashtakam. It's not conquered by, austerities, it's conquered by love of pure devotee, right? So same way, Lord is inconceivable, and he has done it to make sure we won't try to conquer him by our own abilities, but we humble ourselves and we develop such a deep love for him that with that love he gets conquered, and then he will reveal whatever he would like us to reveal. And with Lord's mercy we can even conceive this inconceivable Lord then. So in Bhagavad Gita, Prabhupada is quoting this 9.4. So in sutra form, all these 3 aspects are presented there, kind of a summary of this. The first thing, Maya tatamidam sarvam jagat avyakta murtinam. It says that, it speaks about Brahman, that I am all pervading. Then the third stanza of that verse, it says, Matsthani sarva bhutani. So I am all pervading as a Paramatma. So that is the second aspect. And then the last aspect, Nachame teshu avasthitam. But I am separate from all. So that's a Bhagavan. So in that verse, purport to that verse, Prabhupada mentions that Atha Sri Krishna Namadi na bhaved grayam indri seven mukhe jivado spurate ada. So he said that Lord's cannot be understood by our senses, but by engaging in devotional service, we can understand Lord, even though he is inconceivable. So Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, very in this purport again, Prabhupada is giving this example of gold and gold mine. Lord Chaitanya has very nicely summarized this philosophical conclusions of both Bheda and Abheda Tattva into one conclusive truth, Achintya Bheda Bhed. And then we saw inconceivable nature of Lord. Why he remains inconceivable? Because to make us humble and to understand that we cannot conquer Lord by our own intelligence. And then how Achintya, inconceivable, Bheda Bhed. We are one with Lord in quality, Satchidananda, but in quantity Lord is Vibhu, we are Anu. So when we have this understanding, a devotee's aim is not to figure it out that, let me keep trying understanding Krishna. But devotee understand in principle that yes, Lord is inconceivable, but whatever it may be, to whatever extent I can understand Krishna, I want to glorify. So that is the aim of a devotee. So yes, devotee understand that Lord is Achintya, is inconceivable, I cannot understand fully, but whatever extent the scriptures are revealing, the spiritual master is revealing, let me glorify that. Why? Because when we do that, we feel real satisfaction. Vyasadeva, he wrote all Vedic scriptures, but he was still dissatisfied. Reason being, Narad Muni told, you have not sufficiently glorified the Supreme Lord. And if we see in this world, whatever we do, at the end of day, the goal is what? To be happy, right? Whatever we are doing, earning money, having families, or doing whatever we are doing, the aim is to be happy. And then Bhagavatam says that, of course, material happiness, is there is no question. Devotees won't even consider that as happiness. It's just period between two miseries. Actually, there is no real happiness in this material world. But in spiritual realm also, devotees won't consider this happiness of a Brahman or happiness of going to heavenly planet. They considered it negligible. Kaivalyam narakayate tiddashapura akasha pushpayate. Prabhupada Saraswati says that merging into Brahman is hell. And heavenly pleasures, they are phantasmagoria. The ghoda dimba, the eggs of a horse. Means what? It actually doesn't exist. So devotees are not even considering this happiness which are considered by all these, Mayavadis and, so-called philosophers to be the highest happiness. Devotees are not even looking. They are saying it's hell. But what is devotees' pleasure? That yes, whatever understanding I am getting from Guru, Sadhu, Shastra, let me glorify Lord. And again in Damodar Ashtakam, he is saying that Satyavrata Muni, that I don't want to remember your form as, your majesty, supreme form. No, I just want to remember you as, the same Damodar who is, getting tied by Mother Yashoda. So devotees understand that when we glorify Lord, to whatever extent we understand, that will give us real satisfaction, and that is the only way to purify us. Kunti Maharani, she prays in that, Shrunvanti gayanti grunanti bhikshnashah smaranti nandanti tavehito jana tavehitam janaha taeva pashyanti charena chtavakam bhavat pravaho paramam padambujam. O Krishna, those who continuously hear, chant and repeat your transcendental activities or take pleasure in others doing so, certainly see your lotus feet, which alone can stop the repetition of birth and death. So we don't have to do, a lot of mental gymnastic about understanding, how things are happening, why things are happening, or, why this philosophical, why Krishna is Achintya, No. Sometimes, being like kids is very, nice. In India at one place, there was a quiz actually, So they were asking, question, when Krishna lifted Govardhan, they used to say, okay, when he was 7 years old. And is how Krishna lifted Govardhan on his left wing. How did he do that? So whichever questions the kids could not answer, they used to say, it's achintya, inconceivable, And actually that's true also. That with our, we may be grown up and we can, go to some more details how Krishna is doing, but actually it's inconceivable. So to summarize, we know that Lord is inconceivable, achintya, and he had kept it that way because he wants us to not feel proud or, not consider ourselves great by thinking that we can speculate philosophically and understand Krishna completely. No, that's not possible. He is inconceivable. And second thing, he wants us to be humble and approach spiritual masters in a humble mood. Then we saw that there was this philosophical debate between whether we are one with God or we are different, like Bheda or Abhed. And then we saw, why the whole thing was set up, why Mayavad came, why, Ramanujacharya, Dvaitavad came. But the problem with all these philosophies, they are incomplete. The negative aspect of only focusing on Abheda Tattva, that we are one with God, is there is no question, no room for relationship. And then the problem of focusing too much on Dvaitavad, that is Lord is Vibhu, we are Anu, is that we cannot go beyond, Dasyaras. So, therefore, Lord Chaitanya has kind of, synthesized both this, and he has added this Achinta Bheda Ved. We are simultaneously one with Lord and at the same time different. But after understanding, we won't get discouraged, but the devotee's mood is, to whatever extent we are able to understand Lord, let us glorify Him. Because only that glorification will lead us to purification of our heart and stopping this repeated cycle of, birth and death. So with this, Kunti Maharani's prayer, we'll stop. Any questions or comments? And of course, one more point to remember, that Prabhupada, being a pure devotee, he could see whether Paramatma is, standing or sitting. So that's another, for, all of us, a easy way to understand Krishna is just follow Srila Prabhupada's instruction, and we'll know whatever is required for us. Yeah. Yes.
So goal is to develop love of God, Krishna Prem. This is our goal. So to the degree we can understand Krishna, is it actually direct relationship between the goal and degree of how we can understand Krishna? Is it direct relationship?
No. The gopis, they did not understand Krishna. Of course, in one sense they were not seeing Krishna as, Supreme Lord with all the opulences, but they were seeing just as a, their lover, or Mother Yashoda was seeing Krishna as her child. So, yes, devotee, they understand Krishna's supremacy, but they are not stuck at that. They want to develop, unconditional love, for Lord, and, reciprocate Him in one of the, rasas. So, yes, understanding more about Krishna makes us, more, if we know, it will help us appreciate more Krishna's, when we understand Krishna's quality, it will make us more feeling love for Krishna, because we know more. But whatever we have knowledge, we should not think that is kind of, that is a roadblock. I cannot take it further. No. With whatever understanding we have, if we keep practicing devotional service, eventually, if Krishna feels we should know more, we'll get that understanding. And even if we don't get, we'll at least, develop that living reciprocation for Lord and, perfect our life. So we'll get, Krishna Prem, we cannot get on ourselves, Krishna will, award it. So in one sense, there is it's the devotional service is not dependent on only knowledge, but it is said, the knowledge comes as a byproduct, anyway, so that understanding will come. So, but that is not so devotee doesn't just focus on getting knowledge, or, understanding more about Lord. He is focused more on doing devotional service. So, does that answer your question? Yes.
Hare Krishna. So I have a question, but when you were answering his question, I was just thinking of that painting right there, right? So the Brahmana that didn't know how to read.
Yeah.
Anyways, my question was that, can you remind us, was it Madhvacharya that introduced Radha Krishna worship before Madhvacharya? Devotees were worshipping Krishna, but he introduced Radha Krishna. Can you remind us of that?
Yes, I think that's correct, yeah. Actually, maybe sometime I'll get when we are talking. Lord Chaitanya, he took two essential principles from each sampradaya actually. Like deity worship, he took from Sri Sampradaya, and then I'm not exactly remembering all 8, like what 2, but the Radha Krishna worship he took from Madhva Sampradaya. That's true, yeah. So, any other questions or comments? Okay, Grantharaj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Thakur Premanande.